What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of All You Can Talk Sports. I'm M-Carp, aka Mario Carpenteri. That's your boy Soupy, aka Nate Campbell. And we got a World Series winner, Nate, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. But before we get to that topic, because the rest of the episode, except for this one topic, is going to be all baseball, I want to go to the NFL Players of the Week for Week 8. All right, Nate. I'll start off by introducing the players of the week. Well, actually, you know what? I'm being such a rude host, Nate. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm tired. It's early. It's raining outside, so it's really, not an exciting environment outside, but I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Getting tired too. I got like a little less than like 4 hours of sleep. So,
Ugh. Ugh.
but you ready to talk sports?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's do this. So, the players of the week. So, Baker Mayfield, he had 5 touchdowns with 1 interception. He had 78.6 completion percentage. He went 22 for 28 with 297 yards. That was the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. NFC Offensive Player of the Week was Kyler Murray. He went 34 for 48, 360 yards, 3 passing TDs, 1 rushing TD with 67 rushing yards, and he had an interception as well. The AFC Defensive Player of the Week was Jerry Hughes. He had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 INT. Um, the Defensive NFC Player of the Week was Devin White on the Tampa Bay Bucks. He had 3 sacks. He had 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and he had 11 tackles. And then for special teams, AFC went to Byron Pringle. He had a 102-yard return for a touchdown. And for the NFC special teamers of the week, it went to Johnny Hecker. He had 5 punts. Each punt was inside the 10-yard line. They averaged 44.2 yards per punt with a long of 63, and he had punts inside the 1 and the 6. So you know what, Nate? We'll start with offense. Do you think that Baker or Kyler, do you think both of them deserve to be in the AFC Players of the Week, or do you think one of them deserves it? Maybe none of them deserve it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there were some better options, to be quite honest with you.
I
I'm
agree
not
with that.
saying that they didn't play well. They really did, but I think there was definitely better options. I don't think Baker Mayfield, despite the 5 TDs, I don't think he played better than guys like Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. No, sorry, Devontae Adams was on the NFC. My bad. Then as for Kyler Murray, I'm kind of surprised that Devontae Adams and guys like Tom Brady, who actually had himself a game last game, isn't on this list. I'm not to say that they didn't play well. They did, and they played their hearts out to win those games. But I think there was just better options.
I agree with that. I think Tom Brady definitely should have got NFC Player of the Week this. Well, honestly, it's either between him or Devontae Adams. I mean, Devontae Adams had 195 yards with 2 TDs, and we could say Tyler Lockett, but the only problem with that is Tyler Lockett didn't win the game. If the Seahawks won that game, Tyler Lockett would have definitely been on this list, I think, without a doubt. But honestly, if I had to pick, I think for NFC, I think that I think that Devontae Adams should have got this spot. I mean, he broke his franchise. He broke not franchise. He broke his career high with 195 receiving yards, a pair of TDs. He had 13 catches. I don't know what else you're expecting out of the man to get NFC Player of the Week, but for some reason they gave it to Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray played good, but he had an interception. He had 67 rushing yards. He had 3 passing TDs, but if you want to compare him to another quarterback, Kyler Murray went 34 for 48. Tom Brady went 33 for 45. So Tom Brady had a better completion percentage just by listening to those two fractions right there. Tom Brady had 369 yards. Kyler Murray had 360. Unlike Kyler Murray, Tom Brady didn't throw a pick. Tom Brady had 4 touchdowns opposed to Kyler Murray's three passing touchdowns. Well, Kyler Murray had a rushing touchdown, so we'll give that to him. And he obviously had more rushing yards because Kyler Murray's more mobile than Tom Brady. That's a fact. But Tom Brady definitely could have also got NFC Player of the Week. Um, as for AFC, I don't know. What do you think about AFC? Because you had two guys, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, that you said were better.
Well, it's tougher to say with Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow lost the game. Had Joe Burrow won that
Right.
game, then I think he would have been a more valuable option. However, Justin Herbert did win his game, and I think I think, to be honest with you, I think he was a better option. If I have to be honest, despite the 5 TDs, but Justin Herbert, I think why Baker Mayfield made it on here is because Baker Mayfield had a better completion percentage. I think that's why. If I remember, let me go back to my stats from before. Yeah, that's why. And I think there were just to be honest with you, I think despite the loss, I think Joe Burrow played a better game overall. That's just me. I don't know about you, but that's just what I think.
Well, I'll say this: Justin Herbert, he went. I'll compare the stats real quick.
Right.
Justin Herbert went 27 for 43,
hmm
347 yards and 3 TDs. Baker
He had
Mayfield,
he had 9 rushing. I forgot how many rushing yards he had, but I know he had a rushing touchdown.
he had 67 rushing yards with a rushing TD as well. So, with that being said, personally, if you ask me, just comparing these stats, I think Baker might have deserved it more because
Yeah,
you also
right.
got to remember that Baker's first pass was to Odell and he got picked off. After that, it was smooth sailing from there. And and Justin Herbert did have a game, but I think Baker Mayfield probably won AFC Player of the Week, despite the people like compared to the AFC really didn't show up and show out last game. So not many AFC teams really did a good job. Um, so like for instance, like I'll give you some examples. There was a lot of AFCs versus NFCs, and um, like the Bills and the Jets, there's really nobody on offense you could put on there. The Texans lost, so you can't really put them. Even Joe Burrow might have made this list if he had won, but he didn't. The Raiders fell short. Chargers won. Obviously, Justin Herbert's an option. Patriots got destroyed. The Chiefs destroyed the other team, but really it was all. I mean, if there's anybody in the Chiefs that maybe could have got a spot, it was. I don't think it was Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. He really nobody. I'm gonna be honest. Like everybody on the Chiefs offense, they all did their part. So no, not really one person stood out. And all those AFC teams, I gotta give it to Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield was the best option this week for the AFC. But going to defense, AFC Defensive Player of the Week was Jerry Hughes on the Bills, 6 tackles, two sacks, forced fumble, and INT, and Devin White, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and 11 tackles. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that those are Defensive Player of the Week numbers?
I agree. I don't think it's like staggering numbers, but I agree. I mean, I can't think of anybody else offensively on both sides that didn't play as good. But like, I mean, it's valid. I'll say that.
Well, I'll say this: out of the two, I think that Devin White had a more impressive day. I
Right.
mean, Jerry Hughes did have the touchdown, but both of them had a forced fumble. Devin White had 3 sacks opposed to Jerry Hughes's two, and he had 11 tackles, which is five more than Devin White. I mean, which is five more than Jerry Hughes's tackles with 6. So I mean, I think Devin White was the better defensive player. I think those 3 sacks really pop up to me because especially one with a
He's more
forced
mobile
fumble.
in the pocket. He's willing to go out to the QB before he throws for
Yeah, not
mobility in the
only that,
pocket.
11 tackles too. So he was also probably with 11 tackles, he's probably the leading tackler, which means he held a lot of stops for the Buccaneers in order for that defense to do good, in order for them to keep the offense away, keep the offense so far distant from the Raiders offense. So I think Devin White has a lot to I think I got to tip my hat to both. I'll tip my hat to both of them, but I think Devin White had the better week. And
Right.
then last but not least, special teams. Byron Pringle, he had a 102-yard return for a
Oh
touchdown,
man.
and Johnny Hecker had honestly like all the stats that Johnny Hecker had. Johnny Hecker would be my player of the week, to be honest. That punter on the Rams. When we're talking about a punter who punted the ball 5 times and a pretty like I'm gonna be honest, it was an average game by both teams. The Rams did a little better, but not really. There wasn't really a lot of guys who stood out in those games. But for Johnny Hecker to have 5 punts and every single punt was inside the 10-yard line, one was on the 1 and one was placed on the 6, and his long was a 63-yard punt with a 44.2 average. Johnny Hecker is my player of the week right there. That is unreal to hear of a punter who punts inside the 10 5 times. Every single punt that they have, 5 punts inside the 10, with one being placed on the 1 and one being placed on the 6. That is unheard of. And a 63-yard long. So like Johnny Hecker had a day. I think I honestly, out of
Absolutely.
all these players of the week, I think Johnny Hecker's my player of the week.
Johnny Hecker had that state of mind with Pat McAfee. Remember when he was still playing? That man had like I still think to this day, if Pat McAfee were to get back in the NFL, that IQ would be unbeatable. He had that Pat McAfee mentality. Let me get that IQ in there. Let me have myself a game like Pat McAfee. I gotta agree with you on that.
All right, anything you want to add to the players of the week?
I mean, overall, they're very solid picks. I still think Tom Brady played better than Kyle Murray. I think if Joe Burrow won, he would have been a better player than Baker. Other than that, nothing really to complain about. I think this was an overall solid list.
I think so. I think that the offensive players could have really I think they could have did a lot. I think Baker deserved it, but I think Kyler
I
could
think,
definitely been
yeah,
placed could have been replaced by either Tom Brady or Devontae Adams. But other than that, I really can't complain. All right, let's switch topics for the rest of the episode. This is going to be all about the World Series. So, Dodgers won 4 games to 2. I said they won in 6. I said it was going to be 5, but the Rays hit that nice little walk off to keep them alive. But it didn't matter because the Dodgers won, like I said they would. So here's the thing. So people who don't know, Nate has to wear a jersey of my choosing, and I decided to give him a David Price LA Dodgers jersey because I knew you were gonna be trying to rock the Mookie Betts thing, but I was gonna let you rock Mookie Betts because I know you like him too much. So what I was gonna do was let's get David Price, a guy who didn't do nothing in the World Series, and let's just make Nate look dumb. So Nate
mm,
should get that around Christmas time, and when he does, he will wear it on this episode on whatever episode that will be on this show, and he will rock it.
a deal is a deal.
It is, but nah, I gotta. So talk to me. What do you see in Game 6?
Oh, I saw a lot. You know what? I'm really glad you asked me that. First of all, before I get to the bad, let me congratulate the Dodgers. You know what? After all these years of me proving them right as chokers, they finally said, you know what? Shut up, man. We're proving you wrong. And they did it. And I give them my props. You know, they played a really well series, 6 games. You know, it was really well. You know, with especially with the last two World Series that they lost against the Astros and the Red Sox. You know, the Astros cheated, we all know that. And whether the Red Sox cheated or not, they were just completely outmatched in every way, shape, or form. We all know that. That Red Sox team was unbeatable that year. But now they finally had their shot and they took the shot. They won it. And you know, I deserve my credit. Clayton Kershaw's a future Hall of Fame, and we all know this. Now, with that ring, he's definitely going to be a future Hall of Fame. We all know that now. I mean, he was going to be a Hall of Fame even without it. Same thing with Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer, even though you know he's still in his young years. Still think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. There's a lot of guys on that team that are going to be Hall of Famers. It's just that simple. And I congratulate the Los Angeles Dodgers. You know, just celebrate it, man. Just cherish it. Because I'm telling you right now, my team won the World Series 2 years ago, and we haven't been back to the playoffs ever since. Anyway, I'm done with the good stuff. I want to go off on the Rays for a second. More specifically, Kevin Cash, because this guy is a bonehead. This guy is an idiot. Let me tell you something. All right, your starter. Excuse me, I'm a little loud. Your starter, Blake Snell, threw 5 1/3 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts, no walks, with 73 pitches. You think he'd keep him in there? Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 I have better ideas. Let me take him out of the game and throw in my bullpen. In the What the hell is the thought process? Let me tell you something, Mario. Kevin Cash. I'm not gonna say he is the number. I won't say he is the reason why, because there's other reasons why they lost that game. He is the biggest reason why they lost that game. If he did not put up his fist and point to the bullpen in the middle of the 6th inning when he only gave up 2 hits, Mario, he had their number. He was going around the lineup a third time.
I agree.
So you take him out in the 6th inning when he's dealing 9 strikeouts. I'm gonna be honest with you. This might be a little bit of a stretch. I think he could have pitched that entire game. I don't know if you think about that. I think the minimum he could have pitched was at least 7 innings. I think he could have went an entire game with that. Maybe 8 innings. I think I'm stretching a little bit on that too. But what was your thought process? I want to know this, because your starting pitcher is having himself a game. You know, the game is only score. The only score of the game is 1-0 at that point. He don't. His team, his offense really isn't showing up. You know, Randy Rosarina hit that home run, and Blake Snell's doing his job, holding them off. He had Mookie Betts' number. I think I seen something else. Um, Hang on. Here we go. All right, this is what Passan said on Twitter. He said the next three batters Blake Snell was due to face, right? Mookie Betts, Corey Seager, and Justin Turner. Get this. They were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts against Blake Snell. And you pull them out. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. And obviously the offense didn't really show up either. I'm not gonna say Kevin Cash is the only reason why they lost that game, because there was other factors. The bullpen kind of went downhill, and the offense didn't really show up at the end of the game when they needed it most. I'm gonna tell you something right now. Kevin Cash is the biggest reason why the Rays lost this game in a must-win game. See, in the last game, I get it because he went a little he had a little less innings than that, and his pitch count was high. Fine, I get that. But you're in the 6th inning in a must-win game. He doesn't have that many pitches in the 6th inning. Usually pitchers in the postseason have like over 80, 90 pitches in the 6th inning. This dude has 73 pitches. He could have won 7, 8 innings, maybe 9. Like I said, that might be a little bit of a stretch. But I'm telling you right now, Kevin Cash cost his own team that game. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will not be surprised if Kevin Cash gets fired, because I think that's something he needs to get fired for.
Well, I'll say this. I agree with you that Kevin Cash, it was a dumb idea to take out Blake Snell. I think it was. I mean, like you said, he pitched 5 and 2/3. But I also said before this game happened, I said it was gonna go that if they could get Blake Snell to pitch 6, 7 innings, which is probably what they were gonna do, and I said they were gonna do the same exact thing. No, not I'm sorry, not the same, the complete opposite to Gonsolin. Like I said, they were gonna keep him in for 1 inning and take him out. I mean, I thought Dustin May was gonna come in and start relieving, but that didn't happen. Instead, first of all, let me give some people on the Dodgers credit. I'll go with the pitching because the pitching was really good.
Julio Urias was crazy.
Yeah,
Let me say this real quick.
Yeah, I'll go down the list.
All right.
So I'll go down the list. So first I'll start with Dylan Floro, the pitcher for the Dodgers. When they took out Gonsolin, he didn't let go of a hit, didn't let go of a run. He had a strikeout, and he didn't pitch a lot. He only pitched like not even an inning. He pitched like 1 out of an inning. Then they put in Alex Wood for 2 innings, and he has 3 strikeouts. He has 3 strikeouts with 0 hits. So then he does his job, and then Baez comes in for like 2/3 of an inning, and he lets go of 1 hit, but he has 1 strikeout, so they take him out. And then Gonzalez comes in, and Gonzalez ended up winning this game. And honestly, Victor Gonzalez, he did the same. I think him and Alex Wood both had good nights. They didn't let go of a hit. They each had 3 strikeouts. But the only difference is, in my opinion, even though Victor Gonzalez got the win, I think Alex Wood had the better game because he did exactly what Victor Gonzalez did with 2 innings. So he lasted
Right,
longer.
right.
So who would have said that Victor Gonzalez, if he would have went 10 innings, would he have kept the same momentum? Maybe he would have, maybe he wouldn't have. And it didn't happen, so I couldn't tell you. But from what I've seen, I think Alex Wood had a better game than Victor Gonzalez. But Victor Gonzalez got the win. Then they put Gratterall in for 2/3 of an inning. He lets go of a hit, so they take him out. Then Urias comes in, pitches 2 and 1/3 of an inning, and he closes it. And he had 4 Ks, no hits, and he closed it out. The Dodgers pitching, like I said, Blake Snell was better than Gonsolin. I'm not arguing that whatsoever. I'm never gonna argue that. Blake Snell is a better pitcher. But I also said that the Rays, in order to win, they were gonna have to take advantage of Gonsolin, and it didn't as he was out there. And they got a home run, so they did take a little bit of an advantage. But after that, the bullpen for the Dodgers just did what they were supposed to do and win. Even though they let go of a couple hits, they really didn't. They really didn't let go of any runs. And then you go to Rays. Now the Rays actually had a good pitching night too, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah.
despite what happened, then Nick Anderson comes in. He pitches 1 in the 3rd. He let go of a home run, a hit with a home run, if I assume.
Yeah.
So then there was that, and they take him out. Maybe he didn't want to test keeping Nick Anderson in, so he puts in Loop, and then Loop goes 1 and 1/3 inning. He doesn't let go of anything, but but they take him out. Then they put in Fairbanks, and he goes one in a third inning, and he has let's go of 2 hits, a run, and an earned run. He had 2 walks and 2 strikeouts with 1 home run. See, Fairbanks, in my opinion, is the one is if you're gonna point to somebody who like a pitcher who cost him the game, it might be Fairbanks because as a reliever in 1 and a third inning, you cannot be letting go of 2 runs with a home run.
No,
Can't
you're
be
absolutely
doing. This is
correct.
the World Series, and this is the World Series, and like we said, the margin for error, it's very little, and you can't be doing that. And then Yarbrough comes in, has a good 2/3 of an inning, doesn't let go of a hit. But by the time that happened, it was too late, you know.
Hmm.
And so now we go to the batters. Like I'll go to the batters for the Dodgers, and honestly, hitting was very lackluster for these teams. I mean, the only guys on the Dodgers that really had a hit was Mookie Betts went 2 for 4. Corey Seager didn't do nothing that game. Will Smith had went 1 out of 3, and Chris Taylor went 1 out of 3. Oh, and I'm sorry, Austin Barnes went 1 for 3. So other than that, like Mookie Betts was really the star of that batting lineup. It took one leader. Like I said, they had to keep Betts, Bellinger, Justin Turner, Corey Seager. They had to keep them cold because those are their stars. But to be honest, it only took him 1 star to keep him in the game, and that was Mookie Betts.
I agree.
And then for the Rays, nobody really performed, man. Like
Aside
like
from Randy
Kiermaier
Rosarina.
went 1 for 3, Zanino went 1 for 3, and the only guy besides them that really performed was
A Rosarina.
I'm sorry, I always
You're
mispronounce his
good.
name. Arozarena. Randy Arozarena. Randy Arozarena was the star of this postseason, in my opinion. I
I
don't
agree.
care. Out of even people on the Dodgers, I do not care. Randy Arozarena was the star of this postseason, and I don't
That's
think. And I got to tip my cap to him because honestly, if I could take the World Series MVP and give it to somebody that's not on the World Series, the champions team, I'd give it to
I
Randy
give it to
Arozarena
Randy Rosarina. I absolutely agree.
without a doubt.
That was one hell of a postseason by
It
him.
didn't
It's just
matter. Right, and it didn't matter what pitcher he hit against. He was dominant.
it's just a shame that they his team made a boneheaded decision to keep had that not have happened, I think there would have been a game 7. But I mean, I give my props to Dodgers. I give credit for where it's due. They played a good game. They took advantage of the fact that Blake Snell got taken out of the game as early and as controversial as it was.
But I
I
give I give. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I give them my credit for that. They had absolutely zero answers for Blake Snell, and once they seen that Blake Snell got taken out of the game, they got that sigh of relief because he had their number all night. And they were once they seen him get off that mountain, they was like, "Oh, this is our chance." And they took that chance. And I told you, and I called you last night watching that game when Blake Snell got too out of the game. I told you it was GG's in the middle of the 6th inning. I told you it was GG's, and it was GG's. And at the end of the day, I give them their credit the most. They took advantage of that situation, and as a result, they won.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I give the Dodgers more credit, not for winning this World Series, but I give them more credit on how many times they've been to it, and how many times like they just kept like pushing. So it's like the Buffalo Bills back in like the '90s. You go to like 4 straight Super Bowls, but you never win one. But they
Never
still
won
get
one.
credit. I think you still deserve credit for going to 4 straight Super Bowls. It's something very hard to do. The Dodgers, on the other hand, they go to they,
They go to three in the
correct,
last
yeah,
four. One of
yeah,
them,
correct me if I'm wrong. The one that they didn't go to the World Series, were they in the NLCS or were they in the what? Like,
the NLDS, that was the one when
yes,
the
all
Nationals
right,
beat them and they won the World Series instead.
right. So like you go to the World Series against the Astros and you lose. You go to the World Series against the Red Sox and you lose. So like for you to go to the World Series 3 times and then finally for this one to win, it's bittersweet. It really is
Yeah,
because it's something that you really deserved. It's something
but
that
let's
you
be
really
honest,
earned.
it is very bittersweet because here's the thing: the Astros cheated them out of a World Series, and it's sad to say because them two teams. It's sad to know that the Astros cheated that year because those two teams had some damn good postseason games together.
True.
The Red Sox, the same thing with the Red Sox. I'm being honest with you, man. Even if the Red Sox didn't cheat that year, nobody was beating that team. That Red Sox team was way too damn talented in every single category. And even if Milwaukee faced them that year, they were outmatched in every single category possible. They were not beating the Red Sox. And I'm not even being biased. But everybody knows it. That Red Sox team is one of the most talented teams of all time, like it or not.
Yeah, but
And they just were not beating that team, whether the Red Sox cheated or not. So I really
I
think that
dis I
I really
disagree
I
only
really think that the
because
Dodgers. Oh yeah, only because they cheated, right? But
no, I
I think
disagree because yeah, that's part of it. But the other thing
yeah,
is a big part of the reason why they won was Alex Cora and that coaching. And
yeah,
so and so when you take the next year when you took really you can tell they weren't doing it no more. And when they weren't doing it, they really weren't playing
they
their
weren't
best.
worried playing their best, right?
And so I can't agree that I think the Dodgers maybe the Red Sox would have won. I think it would have been an interesting series. I think if the Red Sox didn't cheat, I think that would have been the most anticipated World Series of all time in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I think this would have turned into the Cubs and Indians or like the Yankees and the Diamondbacks in '01. It would have turned into something like that.
I
But but that's a
but
different
I
topic for
truly
a different story.
but I truly think that this is, despite the other 2 years, just truly heartbreaking moments. Last year was the most heartbreaking moment for them because they were anticipating, with that 106 season win, one of the best in the league behind they were the second best behind the Astros who had 107 wins that year. Um, I think that year was very heartbreaking for them because it was just the Nationals' time. They were sick and tired of losing those game 5 games. One of them they did lose to the Dodgers, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 2016. Yeah, they were just sick and tired of those NLDS game 5 losses. You know what? They said, you know what, screw it. We're gonna break your heart and we're gonna win the World Series. And that was, in my opinion, that was a bigger heartbreak than them losing those 2 World Series because they were the favorite to win it all, and they didn't. And now this year they're back in it and they won it. I have to agree, it is very bittersweet.
All right, so after the World Series, they announced the World Series MVP, and it was Corey Seager. So the argument for me is like personally, like if you ask me, I think Mookie Betts might have deserved it over him. But I'm curious to want to I'm curious to know what you think. Do you think Corey Seager deserved that MVP?
Yeah, I kind of seen it coming, honestly, because I told you it was going to be between Corey Seager, Clayton Kershaw, and Mookie Betts. I only said Clayton Kershaw because Clayton Kershaw actually came in clutch in situations where they needed him most, a situation that he couldn't really, prove himself clutch in times before, and now he's proven that, you know what, I'm over that slump. Let's do this. And Mookie Betts is just because he's Mookie Betts. But I think the way Corey Seager performed in this postseason in general, I think he was the eye of that team, and I think offensively he went off. He had like what, 8 home runs, 9 home runs. What was it? Was it eight? I think it was eight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I can't necessarily. Oh, let me go on the MLB apps. I know there's stats on here, but I think that was the biggest highlight, especially in these days. Those home runs are just something else. I think it's tough to say because I think Mookie Betts deserved it in a way, but I think Corey Seager deserved it in a way as well. But I had a funny feeling that Corey Seager was gonna win that and MVP.
I think the reason why Mookie didn't win the MVP was because of games 2, 4, and 5. 2, 4, and 5 like, if you put those games combined, 2, 4, and 5, he only had one hit out of those 2, 4. So game two, he goes 0 for 3. Game 4, he goes 1 for 5, and then no, I'm sorry, game 4 he goes 0 for 3 again, and then game 5 he goes 1 for 5. And then while he was doing all that, Corey Seager was actually producing. So like for instance, like game two, Corey Seager goes 2 for 4, so he beats him there. And then game 4, Corey Seager goes 4 for 5, he beats him there. And then game 5, Corey Seager goes 1 for 3. And I think those games, 3 out of 6 of the games, Corey Seager played better, a lot better and was more productive than Mookie Betts. So at first I thought like Mookie Betts could have won it. And then after looking at those stats, I was like, Corey Seager, there's a reason why Corey Seager took it. And it's because it was the complete opposite with Mookie Betts and Corey Seager. When Corey Seager wasn't showing up, Mookie Betts was, and when Mookie Betts wasn't showing up, Corey Seager was, and that's what probably kept the Dodgers in this series for so long, is because even though one leader wouldn't step up, the other one would, and that's why I think Mookie Betts. And when Mookie Betts went to the Dodgers, I knew that they were going to go to the World Series or win it. I thought it was going to be them and the Yankees, but the Yankees ended up not making it. They choked again, but when I looked at it, I was like, you have Cody Bellinger. You have Mookie Betts, you have Corey Seager, you have Justin Turner. There are so many leaders on that team that they shouldn't lose. Like they shouldn't have lost the last times. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the last two times that they went to the World Series, like you said, they were outmatched in every single possible way.
Hmm.
This time they were not outmatched. This time you had so many leaders on that team, you had to win. It was just that simple. Like you had to. You have guys who
Right.
were experienced. You had to win. And then we went back to the part like sometimes experience is a bad thing because they can check out what you do. But the point is, as leaders, they had so many leaders that there was just more energy
There
in
was just
for
more
the
energy,
Dodgers
more
than there
experience,
was for the Rays.
more experience, more momentum, more guys that went to the World Series. Is really all it comes down
Right,
to.
and that's the thing. You need those leaders to bring you energy. So like to build energy in a stadium. And I know that's not like a statistical fact or proven or anything, but in my opinion, I believe that's really true. So like with the go back to the NBA championship with LeBron James and Jimmy Butler. LeBron James brought an energy. LeBron James and Jimmy Butler brought an energy that is unmatched. But because LeBron James is the more experienced player, he brought more energy out of the 6 games than Jimmy Butler did. And
Right.
that's the reason why the Lakers won. It's the same thing with the Dodgers. The we Mookie Betts when Mookie Betts wasn't performing, Cody Bellinger was. When Cody Bell, I mean, I'm sorry, not Cody Bellinger. Corey Seager was. When Corey wasn't performing, Mookie Betts was. And so they always had a leader to bring them energy, even though one leader might have not brung them energy. They always had a leader to keep the energy in there and keep the Dodgers alive and keep them fighting. And credit to the Rays. I didn't think they were going to go 6 games. I thought it was going to go 5. They won. They went out for a walk off, and we'll give them that nice little walk off. But at the end of the day, I don't think the walk off was going to be enough to turn everything around. So, but yeah. So Corey Seager won MVP. After looking at these stats, I think he definitely deserves it. And then one more topic to go through. Justin Turner, he had COVID. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's crazy because I was watching that game, man. I didn't think that was gonna happen. He got pulled out of the game, and I'm like, all right, he's probably gonna get subbed out because that's usually what happens. And then as soon as they win the World Series, I go on because on social media, let's go crazy with that. And then I seen Justin Turner got pulled out because he had a positive COVID test. That's crazy.
I wonder why they
Now,
did it so late.
that's what I'm thinking.
Like, don't
It's
you usually
it's
do that
weird.
before the game?
It's weird because I think the way the COVID test works, I've taken it once. You get tested, but it takes some time for it to process whether if it's positive or negative. That's why you usually get the test results the
Right.
day
But
after.
even
It's weird though. I don't know why it happened at that point though. That's the thing. It's like
yeah, it's weird because like the health because like these people probably for some whether they're employed by the MLB or not, they still work for the MLB because you got to give these MLB players their results. And I
exactly,
think it was very unprofessional for them to give them the results during like the 6th inning. Like
absolutely, and
you
and
should
and
have
not
did
to
this before the
mention,
game.
not to mention, you're putting everybody on the field at risk. Everybody in the stands are at risk now. I guarantee you, the MLB is gonna close down Globe Life Field because that's where they were playing at. And I'm
Right.
pretty sure that everybody that was at Globe Life Field that night has to get tested now. You know, I mean, I'm not sure if he knew because I read something and he said like he doesn't feel anything, which is weird because that's how COVID works and it's weird. You get it and some people don't feel it at first. Initially, people don't necessarily feel it. That's the thing.
Right.
It usually the side effects come out there and it's a weird situation, man. I don't know what
Well,
to
here's
think
the
of
thing.
it.
If I'll say this, it all depends. Because if he didn't know during the game that he had COVID, well, they pulled him. You said they pulled him out in the 6th inning, right?
The eighth inning, I think it
The eighth
was.
inning. So they had
Yeah,
to tell him. Like they had to tell him like he had to have a reason. You don't if Justin Turner is starting on your team and you pull him out, unless there were no questions asked, he was just like okay, which I don't think he'd be saying okay to being pulled out of a World
yeah,
Series.
right.
I don't think he'd be okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He'd probably want a reason. So here's what I'm thinking. If they told him a reason, and I'm not sure what happened, so I'm just gonna go off of like a hypothesis, like an educated guess.
right.
If he got pulled out the World Series, and then he went into the dugout and he asked, "Why'd you pull me out?" And they said, "You got tested for positive." I want people to look at this image. Hang on, right there. What's the problem with that?
He got tested and he's still there.
Well, look close. Look at his face. What's the problem with it?
Look at his face.
What's he missing on his face?
Oh
So if you knew you had
yeah.
COVID, why are you out on the field with no mask?
I
I get you're taking a World Series picture. I understand that completely. But the
but
fact that you are tested positive for COVID and you're
you're putting
surrounded by like another freaking
40,
15
50
players,
people.
yeah, or 50 exactly. Why are you out there on the field with no mask? That is my problem. So if he knew about
Well,
COVID, well, here's the thing: if he knew that he had COVID and like if he knew he had COVID and he went on that field anyway without a mask and took a picture, shame on him. Because despite the season over, you still need to know, you still got to understand that there are safety precautions to this, and you don't know whose respiratory system is bad. You don't know whose is, you know, who can take what. So like the fact, if he knew about it, it's shame on him. If he didn't, if they just took him out and it was like no questions asked or whatever, fine. I can't really judge him for that. But I will say this. I will say this. At that point, I think Justin Turner should have kept the mask on.
I'll say this, and here's where I'm gonna have to disagree, and here's why. If you had COVID, let me ask you a question. Why are you even out there? Is my question.
Like you said, they told him in the eighth. Like you said, they told him in the eighth inning, and he probably still wanted to like. And I understand. I agree. I get what you're saying. You're saying like once he found. Are you trying to get to the point like if once he found out, they should have took him out?
They should have just like kept. They should have took him out of there entirely. He shouldn't have
I get what you're
stayed.
saying, and I can
Yeah,
agree with it to a certain degree. Um, possibly, you know, like for instance, like as if he was. Here's the thing: if he was tested positive and he was wearing the mask all around
mhm,
for like the rest of the time, I really wouldn't have minded it that much because like everybody's saying, if masks are really this protective, which I don't know if they are or
I
not,
don't know
like
if
we
they
don't
are
know too
either.
much information about it, but if they really are that protective, then there shouldn't be a problem here if he has that mask on the whole time. My problem is him taking it off to take this picture. Like if you knew about it, why did you take this mask off? I get you're
Exactly.
taking a World Series picture, but why did you take this mask off? Like there was
I
no
think
need, especially around your head, your manager, you're around team players. Like you don't know who could get what, and like the whole team is probably infected now.
I think two things could have happened here, and at this point I'm theorizing. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just theorizing. Two things could have happened. One, of course, is of course he could have actually had COVID.
Hmm.
The other
And
thing is that it could just be a false test, a false
could be,
positive test.
but the
It
thing
could be,
is,
which is
but
weird.
even if that's the thing, even if it was a false test, you still got to go by the results that
You
you got right there. You don't know
exactly
it's a false test, so it's like it's not like if I have, like there are people there are literally they're teenagers, college kids. There are literally college kids who are getting kicked out of college
because
because
they keep
they
on
have
partying with
COVID.
COVID.
They have COVID and they know they have COVID and people know it and they go
I gotta
party.
tell you, because I'm not too far away from Rhode Island College. And well, I'm way closer to Rhode Island College than I am to Providence College. Providence College is like a mile or two away from me, and Rhode Island College like 5 minutes away from my house where I live. And they shut down their campuses because college kids were literally partying. Uh, Providence College is more of a partying college than compared to Rhode Island College, but they still go off nonetheless. And I think Providence College within a week had over 260 positive tests. I think that's what it was. Could have been a little lower than that. And they shut down the campus for the remainder of this semester. It's crazy. And then Rhode Island
Right.
College
Like
is the same thing. I think they had a lot less than that, but still.
right. And Coastal, it's like one of the biggest party colleges in the country. And so like I don't really party that much. Like it's just not me. I don't drink, I don't smoke, so it's nothing like I'm interested in. But like unless I'm like with people I know and like close friends and everything like that. But like other than that, like if I'm going out to play volley, usually like if I'm going out to do something like play volleyball, because that's usually what's out there. That's usually what's active, you know. Like if I see like people throwing a football, I'll go throw and catch a football with them and stuff like that. But mostly it's volleyball. And so when I look at it and like when I see it, I'm seeing like 18, 20 people on a volleyball court. So I'm making sure like already got. Here's the thing, we got to go by the information that that is delivered to us, you know, whether it's true or not.
Mm,
Because it's a possibility it could be true and it's possibility it could be not. So like I'm gonna go with the possibility that I'm just gonna go with the possibility that it's true, just to keep, you know, just to take safety precautions. So when I got quarantined because my roommate got tested positive. When I got quarantined for 2 weeks. When I got quarantined for 2 weeks, I came back here I was like, you know what? From now on, when I play volleyball, I'm gonna wear a mask. And the reason why is because not because like I'm afraid of being infected and nothing like that, but it's like so I have no excuse. But it's so I have no excuse to go back to quarantine. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I wear this mask because here's the thing: they tell you that once you're positive and once you're done having it, you're immune for 90 days. That's what they tell you. So that's what we got to go by. So my roommates are immune, but I was tested negative, which means I'm not immune. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is why I wear that mask. If I was immune, I wouldn't wear it. And I know like you can affect others, but like obviously everybody, I'm the only one on the court with a mask. So like obviously they really don't care. The reason why I wear masks because I don't want to get infected by it.
Right.
I don't know because I was tested negative and there's a possibility I could still catch it. And I don't want to catch it because then if I do and I'm gonna have to quarantine for 2 more weeks, it's gonna be another pain in the butt. So I wear the mask so like I don't get caught with it. It's different if I was tested positive and I recovered. If I recovered, I'll go by your 90 days and I won't wear a mask. But I'm wearing the mask only for the reason the only reason why is so I don't have to quarantine. Because I knew my respiratory system's good. I wouldn't even know I had it. I wouldn't even know I would have it. I have a great respiratory system, but I
Right.
wear that mask so I don't catch it just in case. And that's the only reason why. And honestly, people don't notice, but it's like wearing a mask. It's like it's been. You got to look at it in a positive way. It's like this: if you never ran a day in your life, right?
Hmm.
And I told you run around your block, could you do without running out of breath? No, because you
No.
never ran a day in your life. So here's the thing: when you wear a mask and you're doing physical activity with it, the more you can do with a mask on, the more you can take with a mask on, it really helps your stamina
It really helped.
because
Yeah.
if I can play 4 hours of volleyball with a mask on, I could definitely play 4 hours of volleyball without it. If I can run around a whole block with a mask on, I could definitely do the same thing without it because it's tougher to do it with the mask than without. So it helps your stamina.
It's
And that's the way
funny.
I like to look at it.
It's funny because you know this before 2020, before the turn of the turn of 2019 and 2020, I got diagnosed with pneumonia and I had it for 3 months. Well, actually, no, not 3 months. I'll say 1.5, 2 months. And it's funny because my body, believe it or not, even though I'm like way over it because I was in the beginning of the year, my lungs are still like recovering from the pneumonia because pneumonia. Uh, the reason why pneumonia isn't contagious is because it's an inside thing. It's like an inside job. Like there's liquids that fill up your lungs, which is not supposed to happen. Your lungs are meant for your breathing. It's not meant for anything else.
Right.
So that's how that happens, and it's weird because I've been out a lot during COVID. Not as much, I went to the beach once, but then I went to go get tested just in case, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to the beach again. And it's funny because even though I'm over pneumonia, I'm still technically like my insides are still technically recovering from it because I lost a lot of energy, a lot of stamina from it. So I'm very immune to getting COVID, and it's funny because I haven't gotten it yet, and it's odd, but nonetheless, it's weird because every time I go work out, well, when I wasn't injured, that is, and when I go do drills for baseball, I always wear a mask. It's like because I never know, man. I'm still recovering from that pneumonia, even though I'm not necessarily sick anymore. And
Right.
it's just a risk that I can't risk taking because I've been in the hospital way too many times because of it this year, and I'm not going back for it again. So I kind of wear the mask to be on the safe side of things.
Yeah, I wear like I the reason why I wear it is because it's a way it's a precaution not only for me not to get it because I'm not afraid because here's the thing like I'm not worried like to the point where like I don't want to leave my house like I'm gonna
Right.
definitely leave my house I'm gonna definitely go to do this I'm gonna live my life despite there being a pandemic but I wear a mask because it's a precaution that I don't get quarantined again because when you're in quarantine it's really nothing to do and it's
Yeah.
different like and I weigh the options. Do I have fun with a mask or without? And really, there's not really that much not there's really not that much more benefit to having fun without the mask.
Right.
You're doing the same exact thing. It's just you're wearing a mask.
It's a
So I
yeah.
choose so I choose to wear the mask because I don't want to because A, it's a precaution that I don't catch it and that I don't get quarantined for 2 weeks. And B, it's because I was tested negative, and that's the benefit of, and that's the disadvantage of being tested negative is if you get tested negative, there's still a possible chance that you could catch it, according
Right.
to what we are being told. That's what we got to go by, what we're being told. We can't just be
Right.
like,
You
oh,
can't just
well,
be
we
like,
don't
oh
believe
yeah,
it, even
yeah,
though it might be false. Like, it's what we're told. So like, there's nothing really we can do. But like going back to the topic, because we're kind of off of it. If he
yeah,
knew he was positive, he shouldn't have came out in that field without a mask and take a picture without a mask. He should have kept
absolutely.
it on.
I
And that's my critique. But if he didn't know about it, I'll let it slide. But if he did,
yeah.
then shame on Justin Turner.
Well, you don't. Yeah, that's the thing because we don't know that. It's a very odd situation because
All right.
it's just this is the first time we've heard of it. Something
Yeah.
happened
And
like
if you
that.
yeah, like I'm not gonna get mad at the whole Dodgers team because they all took a mask picture with no mask.
Yeah,
I'm upset because like because they could possibly have COVID too, but they don't know it because they never took
yeah,
because they didn't get the results. Justin Turner got his results.
yeah,
And so it's like if I got it's basically it's like if I got positive, if I found out like I was tested positive and I came over to your house with no mask, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Right,
I'm
right.
putting you and your family in danger. It's kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's almost
Yeah, right.
disrespectful. So like if he knew about it, shame on him. If he didn't, I'll let it slide. But
Nonetheless, nonetheless, and I absolutely agree with you because that's something you gotta like very be careful about, especially in these day and age. Nonetheless, I do hope he gets better. You
yeah,
know,
same.
congratulations to him on winning the World Series. He deserves it. They all deserve it. And
Congratulations to the Dodgers. Good attempt by the Rays. It just wasn't enough.
I think they'll make a comeback. I'm not sure if they'll make the World Series next year, but they're definitely going to be a top tier team next year
We will
if they're
see.
smart about it. That is,
We will see.
we shall.
Any of these topics you want to go back to talk about?
I think we covered everything.
All right. That's it for episode 9. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, this is a YouTube channel, so go smash that subscribe button. I'm M-Carp, aka Mario Carpenteri. That's your other host, Soupy, aka Nate Campbell. And we will see you for episode 10. Peace.
Peace.